Intertalk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
There, I knew I'd be back to catch you. But I'm such a hard thing to catch. Unlock the latch on your door. Still on the back some more. I'll be part of Cherokee Fall. I'll be so much taller. Don't realize what you had till you lost it. And I see what I've lost, and I'll be back someday, day.
Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in. I want to say a quick thank you to my guest on last week's episode, Grammy and Emmy Award-winning composer Charlie Fox. If you didn't get to hear it, you can listen to all of our episodes at intertalkradio.com/makingit, or download our app and take us with you. Also, be sure to tune in next week to hear my conversation with Tony-nominated Broadway director Randy Johnson. I'd like to take a moment to also thank the companies that help me sound my best, whether I'm performing live or in the studio recording and producing music. Blue Microphones, Taylor Guitars, Duesenberg Guitars, Seymour Duncan Pickups, Mesa Boogie Amps, D'Addario Strings and Planet Waves, Motu Digital Performer, IK Multimedia, Fishman Acoustic Amps, and Exotic Effects. So often I get asked questions about the creative process, so I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat, as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. My guest this week is singer-songwriter Stephen Bishop. At the age of 13, Stephen Bishop found himself at a crossroads. A clarinetist with hopes of becoming a history teacher, he was forever changed after watching the Beatles one night on the Ed Sullivan Show. His brother Denny bought Stephen an electric guitar and Mel Bay chordbook and turned his stereo into an amp so Stephen could play music. He began to learn to play guitar and make up chords as well, writing his first song, Surf's Turf, a pathetic-sounding instrumental. He formed a band called The Weeds and began to play at local fraternity parties, incorporating his own original songs with various songs from Top 40. Stephen made a trip to Los Angeles at 17, eventually landing a publishing deal at $50 a week. And after years of trying to make it, a good friend, Leah Kunkel, got some of Stephen's songs to Art Garfunkel, who wound up recording 2 of them on his gold recording, Breakaway. He started playing around town singing his songs for artists like Barbra Streisand, Bette Midler, Diana Ross. Shortly thereafter, he was signed to ABC Records and released his first album, Careless. His 2 hits from that album were Save It for a Rainy Day and On and On. Soon the album went gold, as well as his next album, Bish. Stephen sang the hit theme, It Might Be You, from the movie Tootsie, as well as writing and singing for 13 other films, including Animal House and Separate Lives. His songs have been performed by artists such as Phil Collins, Eric Clapton, Barbra Streisand, Art Garfunkel, Steve Perry, Stephanie Mills, Kenny Loggins, Johnny Mathis, Phoebe Snow, David Crosby, The Four Tops, Beyonce, and Pavarotti. He appeared as the charming guitar player in Animal House, where John Belushi slammed his guitar into smithereens in the toga party scene. He appeared as Blue London in Henry Jaglam's Someone to Love. Bishop also appeared in The Blues Brothers as a state trooper. Stephen was nominated for 2 Grammys and awarded an Oscar nomination for his song Separate Lives. He just released his 25-year anniversary album Bowling in Paris, remastered with new artwork. That album features Sting on bass and vocals, Eric Clapton, and Phil Collins, and is produced by Michael Omartian and Phil Collins. His latest album, produced by John Gilliton, is entitled Blueprint. Please welcome one of Eric Clapton's favorite songwriters and my guest today, Stephen Bishop. Hey, Bish.
What a wonderful life I've had.
Isn't it? Boy, it actually has been fairly remarkable. I would
can
have
start
to say.
crying right now. Maybe I will later.
Okay.
I'll make
Feel
a
free.
point to cry later.
Oh, that'd be great. It would up our listenership.
It was, yeah, right. It was so funny to hear that. That's actually the first time that's been broadcast anywhere, that recording of me at 15 in my band, The Weeds.
That was great. It's from your first band.
I was singing so bad back then.
Well, let's talk about your early start. You were born in 1951. You grew up in San Diego and
no, you're
attended.
not supposed to say my age.
Well, it's in your bio. Oh no, it's not. It's in your Wikipedia page. Well, we can edit that out.
Oh, good. Edit it out.
Just to even the score, I was born in 1956. So
oh God,
it's now we're fair game. Yeah, you're only a year or two ahead of me.
Okay. Wait a minute, I got my dogs all over me here. Let me just put my dogs out. Okay, you guys, out. Golly.
So what was it like growing up in San Diego in the 50s?
San Diego was a real kind of, it's a beautiful city. It's got the best, the weather in the entire world, really. It was nice. It was fun. I mean, there was like a big ferry there in the old days going to that famous Colorado hotel. What was it called?
Oh, right. On the island.
On the island, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Coronado. Yeah, Coronado Hotel. Right. And my band, The Weeds, we used to get on our bikes and go on the big giant ferry. That doesn't sound right, does it? These days, we climbed on the ferry.
The giant.
Something's wrong with that. Right. Anyway, it was an interesting place to grow up. It was fun.
So you were originally a clarinetist, and then you persuaded your brother to buy you a guitar after, of course, seeing the Beatles. Isn't Apple Records on the very?
I'm not sure if I persuaded him. He went ahead and got it, and he hooked up his stereo to simulate an amplifier.
Did he play also, or he just did he just thought it's something that you'd be good at?
I think it was that. I think I wanted one. I must have wanted one.
Right.
But I think he surprised me with that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So Apple Records that the Beatles were on, aren't they on the esteemed list of record labels that turn you down at the beginning of your career?
Yeah. I put that. I actually have that notice still of them. They sent it to me in San Diego when I was living with my folks and everything. I had two songs that I sent Apple Records when I think I was 16 or 17, and I had two songs. I was crazy in love with the Beatles, and I sent two songs of recordings of one song called "Lump in Your Pants," which was a song I had written about a kid who couldn't wait or something to go to the bathroom. Disgusting. and then I had a song called "Picture Her As," which I played at the school assembly in my school, and I got in trouble with the vice principal because he kept saying he said that I said "Picture Her Ass" instead of "Picture Her As." Right, like as it was like a song that went, "Picture her as the maid who was sad," and all this, Right. And everybody thought I said "Picture her ass." Anyway, I got in trouble with him.
I can imagine. So, did you keep a list of your list of your rejections and actually all of your rejection letters? I had heard that. Is that true? Oh no, that's not true. And I usually keep anything anyway, but right. No, they just sent me that, and that was that. Right. I didn't really. I was rejected by many publishers. That was and record companies in my early days. Right. I was in L.A., Hollywood for like 6 years, really actively trying to make it before I got anywhere, really. And how were you being shopped as an artist back then? Did you have a manager or an agent working with you, or you just were banging on doors? in
I went
meeting
for
other
a while
musicians?
where I had this agent, where a manager actually. Yeah, and I had a meeting with Clive Davis with him, and he didn't wear socks.
The
not
manager?
Clive Davis, the manager.
Oh, the manager.
Yeah.
In high school, you said that you were the guy girls wanted to be just friends with, and that you were always on the wrong side of zany, and that music was the only outlet that you really had. You know, how did you transition from the wrong side of zany to being as cool as you are?
The wrong side of zany?
That was your words. I had read a quote.
My words. I guess that is probably right. I don't know if zany was right at the time, but I guess I said zany. Well, I actually had a very heavy. I was kind of a goofy guy in high school. I really started. I had a really heavy relationship when I was in 10th grade with this girl, Katie Leiser.
I was going to ask her name. Shout out to Katie.
And I was just crazy about her. And back then, I was like 15 and a half, and it was my first heavy girlfriend, thing. And, it was amazing, really. And, we went for bike rides and all that puppy love stuff. And I really fell hard. And then my songs started changing. I was writing all these songs like, Beer Can on the Beach, and There's a Hair in Your Enchilada, and, Will There Ever Be a Sunday in Nebraska, and all these weird songs. And then once she dropped me like a lead potato in 10th grade, I just totally changed my writing style. I got very more lovey-dovey and, all that.
Yeah.
It really had an effect on me.
I would imagine.
And then, of all things, I wind up coming up to L.A. She comes up to L.A. when I was older, and we fell in love and started living together.
Oh, you actually reconnected and
yeah,
continued your relationship. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it is, actually. I used to look at her, she had a red Volkswagen. I always used to see red Volkswagens to see if it was her. And and then, we wind up being together, and then we broke up, and that was that.
Have you lost touch with her?
Well, she actually passed away.
Oh,
I found out years ago. She became an alcoholic, and they found all these big, bottles of vodka under her bed and everything. It was like, oh, it's so sad.
Yeah, it is. Let's talk about Leah Kunkel, because she definitely helped kickstart your career. Leah, who was a good friend of yours and a wonderful artist, gave Art Garfunkel one of your cassettes, and Garfunkel picked two songs, looking for the right one, and The Same Old Tears on a New Background to record on his Breakaway record. How quickly and in what ways did that change your life?
Well, it immediately changed my life, because he asked me to come into the studio, and I came into the studio and met him at his, it was like, 75 when that happened. So that was only a few years past when he won his giant, Bridge Over Troubled Water awards. And that
was
great
this in
album.
New York or Los Angeles?
This was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he's normally a New Yorker, but he was in L.A. Doing an album with Richard Perry back then. So, I went and I met him, and he wanted to record a bunch of my songs, and then they had a whole bunch of songs they wanted to do, so they couldn't do it. But it was he wound up eventually doing about, I think, 7 of my songs on his album.
Nice. And he did something really generous, which is, instead of asking for part of your publishing, he encouraged you to start your own publishing company. That's pretty.
That's almost accurate.
What is the story?
Well, he just arranged. I was really broke, and I was, my dad had already sent me a telegram saying, maybe you should come back down to San Diego and work for me at my insurance company. And I was like really freaking out. And he wound up getting Columbia Records to give me an advance on the stuff that we had recorded.
Right.
So it enabled me to exist.
And not have to basically
not
move
have
back
to do
home.
that publishing deal.
Man.
Which would have, it was offered, I was offered $10,000 for all my publishing for like pretty much in perpetuity, forever.
Not a good
and it
deal.
was like been the worst thing I ever would have done.
Right. So
I was lucky. I was lucky that he helped me out that way.
Do you think it's just because he was a fan of your writing and singing? Do you know why he was so generous?
No, because we were friends at that point.
You were buddies, okay.
Yeah, we were friends, yeah.
So
I think he did it as a friend act.
It's which I always appreciate when people do the right thing. Especially in the entertainment business, when people actually step up and do something because it's the right thing to do. It shouldn't be a rare thing, but it is. So I'm glad to hear that happened for you. It would have really, things would have taken a different turn if you went back to San Diego.
But I would have been a hell of an insurance guy. Not
would
really.
I kind of don't believe that.
I would have been pathetic. I would.
Right.
Where is he? He's watching reruns of Leave It to Beaver in the back room.
So we're heading into our first break. We had just played at the beginning of the segment the world debut of the Weeds, Steve's first group from high school, and
right.
we that was really kind of fun to break a new song with you like that. We've got a lot to talk about, and I know that you've got a lot of stories. Tell everybody your website before we hit the first break.
Well, you can get me on StephenBishop.com. That's Stephen with a PH. And I have a chat area in there called the Bistro, and I usually, write back to people and stuff, and it's a cool thing. It's been there for many, many years.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for giving that info out. And everybody, write into Bish and stick around for more conversation. We've got a lot of great stories. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
And you're listening to Making It with Terry Woolman.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
She was late to the party. Couldn't find a thing to wear. She looks just like Emma Stone, posing for Playboy as she reads Voltaire. One more pretty girl, crying the tears of a child. Now her boyfriend tries to cut some guys he met on Deuces Wild, and they say, hey,
And welcome back. I'm here with Stephen Bishop, and you just heard a new song from Bishop's album Blueprint.
From my brand new album.
Your brand new album. It actually is brand new, and I will encourage everybody to go to iTunes and buy it.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon.
Or StephenBishop.com.
StephenBishop.com. And we're going to put those links up on the website here at the radio station. Let's talk about the new record. I'm really glad that you recorded it. You've put out a couple things. You just had your 25-year reissue, and then
that was for my album Bowling in Paris, which has Sting on it and Phil Collins, and Phil Collins produced some of the songs on there, and also Clapton's on there.
Mm-hmm. And then did you digitally remaster it? I know you did new artwork.
Yeah, and then I remastered it. It sounds great.
Did you own the master on that? Or
no, I had to get the permission from Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Was that a challenging thing to do?
It took a little while, but I got it. I got it to happen. It came out great. I'm all my albums. I've actually. You know what I'd like to have? I'd like to have a channel on Sirius, someday, so they could just, or some radio station that just can play my stuff, because I've been doing stuff for so many years now. I mean, I just had my 50th year in the show business. I mean, my first recorded album was in '76, and that was Careless. Mm-hmm. And that had On and On it. And then 50 years later is this Blueprint album.
Yeah, 70. Yeah, your first album is when I discovered you, because I was back in Miami then. But as soon as I heard you, I really just took to your style, your songwriting and your singing, and also the record production. I mean, one of the things about your records is you've always had amazing musicians and arrangers and producers, even like the introduction. Written the string arrangement by the legendary Marty Page on "If I Only Had a Brain," going into the song "Losing Myself in You." Oh, it was Artie Butler.
That was Artie Butler. No, Marty Page did an amazing string composition of "Looking for the Right One" and also "When I Was in Love."
Right,
but that was Artie Butler on that.
Did you choose the arrangers for each of the songs, or was that a producer decision?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. You were very...
I'm usually heavy involvement in my album. Sometimes you'll get a producer who's like, you must do what I must tell you, and then you're like, what?
Right.
But that's happened.
I'm sure, yeah.
Sometimes producers get very authoritarian. And so you're like, the artist, but no, most of the time I work really well with the producers. Like Michael O'Mardian was fantastic, and I just work with this fellow named John Gilliton.
He's a real talented guy. I know
really
John.
Amazing talent, yeah. And he was great, and we made that Blueprint, and Blueprint was made because I had so many of these songs that wound up being on Blueprint that I really liked from demos that I had done. And so I had all these demos, and I kind of wanted to keep that, a little bit of that demo feel, but make it more of an, record album. We wound up, on that premise, kind of using the old demos as blueprints to make better recordings. I also did this song "Holy Mother," which I wrote with Eric Clapton.
Mm-hmm. Is Eric on singing or playing on that with you?
No.
Mm-hmm. When did you write? Maybe. When did you write that one?
In '84.
Mm-hmm. And
84.
it hadn't been recorded or released previously.
He recorded it on his August album, and he also recorded it with Pavarotti.
Wow,
they did a live concert.
What's that like to hear Pavarotti sing one of your melodies?
It's a trip. Because especially, I wrote a lot of the lyrics in Holy Mother, and so just to hear him sing these words, it's just amazing. But it was amazing to hear Clapton hear him too.
Of course.
Or sing those words.
And Phil Collins, sing,
Yeah, Phil. Separate Lives.
Well, let me ask you about Separate Lives, because that was an incredibly personal song that, you wrote about having a relationship breakup. Did you ever think that such a personal song would become such a mega hit for you? Did that surprise you?
I don't know if it surprised me as much as it delighted me.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but it was a kind of combination of, there was an element of the film that, meeting with Taylor Hackford and going over the song for the film, because it was the love theme of White Nights, actually.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it was, it had something to do with that, because we had met and talked about it. But mostly, Phil just really loved the song and wanted to do it, and then he got that great girl singer, Marilyn Martin. She sang great on it. So it's been a real it's funny because when you have hits like that, they wind up becoming these appendages to your body or to your mind of carrying through a brother-sister relationship or something.
Right. Are those part of the reason that you've become so hugely popular in countries like is Singapore, or where they're in the Philippines? You have a huge following there. Is that
following the Philippines? It's weird.
Is that based on your recordings of your songs, or other people's recordings of your songs, or a combination?
I think a combination. They play a lot of my songs still, and a lot of the people really know those songs, and people over there have actually told me that It Might Be You, my hit, is like an anthem over there. I mean, little kids know it. I couldn't believe how many people knew that song. It's really amazing, really.
Yeah.
And, I mean, people go nuts over that song. I mean, I could tell you a story. I'll try and make it quick. I was going to I was going to do a show for like 9,000 people there in the Philippines. And it was like a couple of days away, and I thought, well, I want to get a massage, and start getting loosened up and everything for the show. And so I go down there in my hotel. I had to stay in a really nice hotel, and I stay this young masseuse Filipino girl, says hello, and lie down. And so I do the whole thing, lying down. And so about half hour into the massage, she suddenly says, "Mr. Bishop, will you please sing It Might Be You?" I go, now? She goes, yes, you must sing it to me. I go, what? But I'm getting a massage. Can't you just do this later? Can I do this later or something? She says, no, you must sing it to me, please. It's my favorite song, please. Time. I've been passing time, watching trains go by. I couldn't really give it my all lying down on it.
Laying face down on the table.
Yeah. So the next day, I think, I'm going to get a massage again. I didn't really get a good massage. It was interrupted and everything, and I want to get a regular massage so I fall asleep and the whole deal. Mm-hmm. So I go down there, I find this other girl, and she's kind of the same age as this girl. And so I, right in the, getting a massage, everything's great. Right in the middle, Mr. Bishop. I go, oh, no. And she goes, will you please sing It Might Be You to me? I go, oh, my God, I just had this happen to me yesterday. What do you mean? I'm getting a massage. I had it happen yesterday, a girl. I had to sing it. She goes, I know, it was my best friend. If you sing it to her, you must sing it to me. Time. I've been passing time. And there I went.
Right.
That's the story.
That's a great story.
I don't really have a big punchline. I need a professional comedy writer to give me a good punchline.
I don't know. You've always been kind of pretty naturally funny, as long as I've known you.
Yeah. That's what my wife says. Funny looking, maybe.
Bish, can you talk about the early days when you were actually going to artist houses like Bette Midler and Barbra Streisand to sing for them? I mean, you actually got yourself invited over there and brought your guitar and sat in the living room.
It was a different time. It was more innocent, time. I actually did. I actually played for other people too. I wound up. You remember Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, she was really, back then, we're talking 76, 77, probably 76, 75. I got this thing where she was looking for songs, and so I go over there to her where the address she gave me, and it was actually, she was living back then with Warren Beatty. And so, So I walk in, and just as I walk in, Warren Beatty and Jack Nicholson come in from the tennis court. They had been playing tennis. They're all sweaty, and I'm like, wow. And I'm like really young, pretty impressionable. And I was like, whoa, Warren Beatty and Jack Nicholson, boy. And so they came in. So we actually were waiting for Michelle Phillips because she was getting ready and everything. And so I was with them and my guitar. And so Warren said, play some songs, play me a song. So I play him this song, Careless, that I had just written, which wound up being the title song of my first album. And so he goes, oh, I like that. And then he changed. He goes, that one part there. And he actually made a change that I still kept.
No kidding.
Yeah, I kept after all these years. You don't need to really say this thing, and you could say that thing. Oh, that's a good idea. And so she came down, and she had made a huge pot of chili. So I'm like in the kitchen. She goes, Stephen, you want some chili? I said, oh, okay. So everybody, and they're sweating, and they're in their tennis outfits, and we go, and we're kind of in a line in the kitchen, and I'm right behind Jack Nicholson. And so I say to Jack Nicholson, excuse me, Mr. Nicholson, I say, have you ever tried a poached egg on chili? It's really good. No, I never tried that. I don't do him, but I never tried that. No, and that was that. It was just, that was the extent of my huge conversation with him.
Short but memorable. Right? What about?
But, as fate has it, it did. It helped me with my song, even though she didn't record a song.
Oh, she didn't record any of your songs.
No.
But Bette Midler, what was that like singing for Bette?
Bette Midler, I had known Bette God, how many years now I've known her? I think sometime in 79, I had already known her, and then she lived next door to a friend of mine. So I went next door to her house and just knocked on the door, and she's really tiny, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in her living room, and she was, you know, stocking feet, and I wound up coming in, and I just said, "Hey, I got some songs. I heard you're looking for some songs." And so I wound up playing a bunch of songs for her and everything. And she wound up recording the song One More Night, but she never wound up being on an album, actually. But, I mean, I first met with her years ago before that in the early 70s with not... what's his name? Brooks Arthur. And he was producing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was producing her, and we watched, of all things, the night that we got together to you know, see if she wanted to do one of my songs. Helen Reddy was singing my song "One More Night," the same song that Bette Midler liked, on the Tonight Show.
Oh.
So we all watched Helen Reddy on the Tonight Show, and Bette Midler looked at me and she went, "She's such a cow." I'm not a Helen Reddy fan because I had a bad experience with her years ago, and I have so many stories I should write a book. But
yeah, have you thought about writing a book? I was going to play some songs for Helen Reddy in her office through this producer guy, and then she wound up coming in a hurry, and she looked at me and went, "No live auditions, man. No live auditions." No live auditions. As I had waited there for her for an hour. And then her manager said, "Oh, come on, Helen. The guy's already he's got his guitar out. Can't you hear one song?" Mm-hmm. So I wound up playing the same song, "One More Night." Mm-hmm. And she goes, "That's nice. Get me a lead sheet." And 3 years later, she winds up doing it with Kim Fowley producing her on an album called Ear Candy. That's a good story. Go. Wow. We're heading into our second break right now. I'm here with Stephen Bishop, and we will be right back after a very short break. So please stick around.
Hey everybody, this is Phil Perry. Stay tuned for another portion of Making It with Terry.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Matt LaPointe from Motu. You're listening to Making It with Terry Woman.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woman.
Welcome back. I'm here with Bish, and that was a song that.
So funny.
That's
your
a song
harmonies are just the best. Your lyrics always rhyme. I could listen to you all of my life. They had all these. She had all these references in from my songs.
This was a song written about you and given to you.
Yeah, sent to me originally. Yeah,
sent to you. I want to ask you about what it must have been like at the beginning. You came, I know it was for like all of us, not an immediate start to our careers before we, made our records and ended up on the radio. And for a lot of artists that way. But when Careless and Bish came out and they both went gold, you got propelled into the international spotlight. A lot of people, including myself, became aware of you that didn't live in Los Angeles. And then here's my question. Your third album, Red Cab to Manhattan, that you recorded in 1980 or released in 1980, it didn't chart. And were you pressured by your record label at that point to change direction musically, or did you doubt yourself in any way, or did that scare you, or did you just kept moving forward? No,
I was with Warner Brothers back then.
Mm-hmm.
And Warner Brothers paid a lot of money for me, quite a lot of money, when they bought me from, or they acquired me. I was on ABC way back when I had my early hits and stuff, and then for my third album, I was going to go to Columbia or Warner Brothers. So I wound up going to Warner Brothers because I wanted to work with Lenny Waronker and Russ Titleman, because they did the Randy Newman albums that I loved.
Yeah, and
I thought they're just the greatest producers. They were great. They did a great job on James Taylor, just phenomenal job. They did great records back then. So, and then I got there. I wound up only working once with Russ Titleman, and I never worked with Lenny Waronker, and it didn't pay off. But the album I made with them, Red Cab to Manhattan, cost like $350,000. I mean, it was a really expensive album, and they had so many artists back then. It was just kind of like a mill of some kind, and I was on that. I was on there, and I worked with this one of the producers that I work with now. That shall remain nameless. We wound up not getting along so well. I wound up taking 2 days to record this solo for one of the songs, and he didn't like that. And I probably shouldn't have done that, but I really wanted to be Jimi Hendrix most of my life, and it was always my dream to be a lead guitar player, have the spotlight on me and me do these incredible solos. Meanwhile, I always freeze when the spotlight is on me doing a solo.
Right.
Yeah, solos always make me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they kind of didn't push the album. And there was a single release called Send a Little Love My Way, which some people heard. It did well, in the AC thing, but they didn't really push it. And that was the only album I wound up doing with them.
Mm-hmm. And then did you switch to another label?
They didn't like the album.
They didn't?
Sorry?
They didn't like the album?
No, I had this big party where I played the album for everybody at Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like maybe a little ahead of its time or something. It just had it was, it's now gone on to be one of my, fans, favorite albums. They love that album. I get too many compliments to recall. I mean, there's a ton of compliments on that album, and I'm proud of that album. I think it sounds great. At one point, I went off from the people I was working with, and my girlfriend at the time was Karen Allen, who was in Raiders of the Lost Ark,
mm-hmm.
and she was filming in England. And I wanted to go over there and have something to do, so I wouldn't just be sitting around. So I'd look like I was a quality person. So I wound up recording over there, and I recorded an extra song for the album called "Sex Kittens Go to College," with Phil Collins on drums and Eric Clapton on guitar, and
mm-hmm.
it was a cute little track. Gary Brooker plays organ from Procol Harum.
Mm-hmm. Fun.
Yeah, it was neat.
Who was the bass player? Do you remember?
John Giblin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think he played with Jethro Tull.
Yeah, I love your references. Yeah, it's the music I grew up with that we all did.
So that was on the album, and then I wrote this other song about Karen called Little Moon that was on the album, and it had all these Beach Boys type backgrounds and stuff. So I was proud of that album, but I guess there wasn't an obvious hit from there, and they just wound up dropping me like a lead potato.
Did you meet Karen working on a movie with her?
Yeah, in Animal House.
In Animal House. So
she was in Animal House.
After you got dropped like a hot potato, was it hard to get another deal, or did that happen relatively quickly? It was, okay.
No, I didn't wind up making another album. That came out in '80. I didn't make another album till let's see now. I did. It might be You was done
1982, I believe.
82 or 83 it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then 84 I did do, I was always doing something. So I was doing movie themes. I think 84 I did Unfaithfully Yours, the song called One Love with Greg Matheson. So I wound up doing that, and then, let's see, 86. And then Separate Lives was recorded in 85. And then it came out in 86 or something like that. No, it came out in 85, and it was a hit in 85 and 86. So by the time 89 came around, I finally did an album. 88, I was recording with Phil Collins in England, and he wound up producing some stuff for me that was on my Bowling in Paris album, which I did with Michael Mardian in 89.
And that record, Eric Clapton and Sting also contributed to.
That's right. Yeah, he's on there. And that came about because Phil, in the mid '80s, Phil, I was in New York and I talked to Phil, and he wound up inviting me to come over to Montserrat in the Caribbean, where Clapton was recording, and I wound up recording with him, and then we were outside and we were talking about the song and stuff. It was a song of mine that's a weird song called Hall Light, which is kind of about my childhood and everybody's childhood, and it's got very heavy lyrics. And Phil goes, "Oh, you know Sting." And then Sting was like right there. And I thought he was some strange guy. I couldn't recognize him. So he had really long hair. So I wound up, he wound up singing. There's a part where he sings some lyrics all by himself. The lyrics of that song are really strange. They go, "See Bob, he is a hard-working architect. He likes his cocaine on a Saturday night. He likes his cocaine every night. That's Bob. See June, she works 9 to 5 for husband Bob. She hides her bruises with her white Maybelline. She's so afraid of him, her life is sink or swim. There's so many people in this world, so many people in this world. See Alicia, she was young with a love for life. She had a father who would treat her unkind. She turned to Jesus when she should have tuned into her mind." That was my mother.
Yeah, I was wondering who you were writing about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I go, I think, I'm probably missing something, but I go, "See Steve," that was Sting sings this. "See Steve, he had a fat, creepy stepfather who hides his rifles, who hid his rifles? See Steve, he had a fat, creepy stepfather who kept his rifles in a room by the hall. Young Steve loved rock and roll, and Kim loved nothing at all." That was my stepfather. And then he goes, "Some people can't forgive the kid who grows up hurt. That kid was you, my friend, and that kid was me. Did you like to leave the hall light on? Are you going to leave the hall light on forever?" So it's real. I do have these heavy songs, like Holy Mother's heavy.
Right.
That's heavy. Separate Lives is heavy. My song Madge on my first album is a heavy song. These kind of really heavy songs. And then I have my lightweight songs too. So
right.
Like there's a hair in your enchilada. There's from my early days.
Well, to balance it out.
Yeah, right.
Let's just very briefly go back to "It Might Be You." That was written by Dave Grusin and Alan and Marilyn Bergman. What's the short version of the story with how that came about?
Okay. Well, it was through this company, Gorfain Schwartz. These guys, I guess they work for people who do this kind of thing, and they contacted me through my manager then, Trudy Green. And they wound up, saying they're interested in having me sing the song for this movie. So they had me sing the movie, which is all filled with temp songs by Kenny Loggins. It was all like Kenny Loggins songs, but they weren't happy with it. So they wound up, having me meet Dave Grusin in his office in Santa Monica. And Dave Grusin wound up singing the song, like kind of nice and soft, and it's telling me it might be. And I said, "Well, that sounds good." Little did I know it would be a part of my life, and I'd be singing it, in the Philippines, to people flipping out with holding a match in the air,
or face down on a massage table,
or face down like a Mr. Bishop. Right. Will you please sing "It Might Be You"? Anyway. Yeah, he played it. I said it was great. We had a meeting with Alan and Marilyn and Dave Grusin. I don't think Dave Grusin was there. Alan and Marilyn and Sidney Pollack was there. My manager Trudy was there, and I was there. And we talked about the song, and I had to tell them that I had a problem with one of the lines because one of the lines said something da-da-da-da-do, watching lilacs grow. And I was like, "Oh no, I can't sing about lilacs." I'm sorry, but and Alan Bergman really liked lilacs, and he said, "But Stephen, I like lilacs." And I was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't sing about flowers in this song." So I'm thinking, there's all my money going down the tubes.
Right.
They're going to wind up, getting
another singer,
Himperdink or something.
Hey, right.
So I said, I'm really sorry, I just can't sing it like, and so they wound up rewriting the verse, and the verse they rewrote turned into, if I found the place, would I recognize the face? So that was very nice.
Yeah, what a beautiful lyric.
Yeah.
And, Alan and Marilyn, they know how to go back to the table and rewrite.
Oh, they're pros. They're total pros.
Yeah.
They've written some of the most classic songs, and they're great people too.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, Alan had told me when I worked with him last year that when they're writing, when he and Marilyn are writing, they find the words are hanging on the tip of every melody, every note. They just, that's where the magic is. They listen to the melody.
Oh, they said that? Really?
Yeah, that's what that. Yeah. I asked them about their creative process because we were in the studio together, and I was producing Alan and with Dave Grusin, and I thought that was a very cool way of thinking about lyric writing. Was the notes are hanging there on the tip of it, or the words are hanging on the tip of every note. When you just look for them.
Sometimes I do use that trick, or I'll use the trick of trying to hear it like it's on the radio and it's already written.
Ah.
That's another way to do it, but more often than not, it's so hard. Writing is really hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's like to try and come up with it's like my song On and On. I mean, I still have the rough draft. And it's got like all these terrible lines in it, It's that in the rough draft, it's got,
I have to interrupt you because we only have about 30 seconds, and I have one more question for you. So,
okay, that's all right.
And here's my final question. At this point of your life, Bish, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self?
What would I tell my younger self?
Yeah. If you could give some advice to
that's a heavy question you give me for 30 seconds.
I didn't really.
That's pretty heavy, If you were going to die and someone was going to stab you in the eye.
I tell you what, can you think on that and get back to me off the air? Because I really want to know what you think of that. We are out of time.
I'd probably say a short answer would be enjoy this.
Enjoy this. I'll get the long answer from you later.
Yeah.
Bish, thank you so much for spending the hour with me. I really appreciate it. It's great talking to you. And safe travels, and be well. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next week.
All right. Say hi to Melanie for me.
I definitely will.
Great, Terry.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.